Hello, everyone. Welcome to Extra Tribe International interview. And our first guest for my project today is Janice Naiken, and she's an expert in healthcare. And Janice, welcome to the interview. And let's share your story, your personal story on why and the story that leads you to what you're doing right now with your work.
Okay, thank you so much, Boy. It is such a privilege to be here today and to be a part of the Extra Tribe International. To share a bit about my story, I'm a former recruitment solutions provider to the world's top corporates, and I'm now the UK's leading holistic health advisor. I started off badly. I was a very overweight child. I was bullied in school because I was the fat kid. I wasn't very good at sports. I couldn't climb the rope because I was so heavy. And
Yeah.
it was a difficult childhood, not because of lack of intelligence, but because of maybe a lack of popularity because of my size, and also because I started to despise my body, really. I didn't like the way I was looking, but I just, being in a part of a family that just loved food, and I took that to another level, and that was a part of, the way I guess my dad and I shared love by
Yeah.
eating together, and it led to health problems. um, by the age of 10, I, in a school medical, was taken into the headmistress's office by the school nurse, who said, we would like to put you on a diet. Would you like us to put you on a diet? And I was like, yes, please, because
Mm.
I was, I started to hate my body, and I knew I needed something different. And there's always been something in me that's always wanted better, and I think that has driven me to the place where I am now. um, and by age 15, I found my first breast lump.
Mm.
My grandmother on my father's side had actually died of breast cancer.
Oh.
And then by age 30, I found a second breast lump. Now, the first one was removed by surgery, but the second one was removed naturally without any surgical or medical intervention whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that was because I was on a different pathway. I decided that if I really was going to heal, I needed to study for myself. I needed to come away from the medications that were actually escalating my illness.
Yeah.
And so I moved away from that, and I studied herbal medicine, I studied nutrition, and started
Mm.
to make changes in my life. And I was blown away
Yeah.
by the results. And,
Mm.
this has created a fire within me that will last until I take my last breath, I believe, because I've seen the power of natural healing. I've experienced it, and I've shared it with others in such an amazing way. And I just want to shout it out, to the whole
Yeah.
world, and let people know that there are ways to heal which
Mm.
are not toxic,
Yeah.
and they're not invasive either.
Yeah. Okay. So talking about your healing process, when you do your healing work on yourself and your clients, how can you assess the correctness of the knowledge and of the research?
Okay. Well, the very comforting thought is that our bodies are governed by divine law. There are
Mm.
laws, just like we have the law of gravity. If you jump up in the air, you are going to come down. And there are
Yeah.
certain laws that govern our body. So, for
Mm.
example, the way we take in oxygen, the way our bodies eliminate waste, the way we take in food. These processes take a certain amount of time, and there are certain key processes that can only take place within certain conditions in the body. And when you understand the principles,
Mm.
then anything that you read, you can measure it against these principles. It's like, let me think of, like if you think about music, I know you're a pianist, you're a musician. If if the timing is dun 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 dun, right? But then you start to play something that's dub 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 dub.
Mm.
There's going to be a dissonance, isn't there? You know, that the two won't. You know, if you know, when you sight read for a music exam or something, you have to follow the law of, you know, the timing, you know, the
Mm.
melody, and so on
Yeah.
and so forth. If you play in the rest, you've messed
Mm.
up the song.
Yeah.
Right? And so, in the same way, if you understand how to read the body, if you
Mm.
understand the laws, then anything that contravenes those laws, you know that you can reject those things, but
Yeah.
those things that harmonize with those laws, you can keep
Mm.
them. And that's how I assess the correctness, because I'm able to reason through from cause to effect
Mm.
of this
Yeah.
action. Yeah. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah. So when you talk about the natural healing of the body, and you like, you know your body, something like that, and also you mentioned about that taking medication doesn't have to solve the root cause of the diseases. And so, what are some important aspects that people need to concern in order to solve the root cause problem?
Well, the important thing to think about, firstly, if you want to address the root cause, is what is the cost of not addressing the root cause? Because, for example, say you have high blood pressure
Mm.
because you have a very stressful life, and maybe you're not exercising, you don't have a great diet, and so you're told, you know, well, if you take this medication, then your blood pressure will come down, which is good because, you know, you reduce the risk of a heart attack or a stroke or something like that. And these are genuine dangers that people need to avoid, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you could, just by simply exercising or drinking more water or
Mm.
eating more nutritious food, lower your blood pressure, that way you're avoiding some of the harmful side effects of these medications, because many of the medications, for example, for high blood pressure, have an effect on your kidneys, and
Mm.
you know, they can
Yeah.
damage your kidneys with long-term use. So the cost of going, you know, along the road of not addressing the root cause, I believe, is you're paying a higher price than if you make the necessary changes.
Mm. So you mean that like people need to pay attention to their lifestyle, their daily lifestyle, their habits, not just like taking the medication and hoping that it will cure all the problem with their health, but
That's
also like combine with the lifestyle and changing the lifestyle and other things in order to do that.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you know, the amazing thing is that in the world of business, in the world of performance and music, people are always wanting to excel and give the best, right? And often you will find that when you want to be really refined in what you do, then you have to avoid the quick fix,
Yeah.
because the quick fix doesn't yield the quality. You know, in your business, it's the same thing. You know, if you're trying to create a business, then you have to have really solid foundations for your business. Otherwise, it will all come crashing down. But oftentimes, we sacrifice our bodies
Mm.
to, you know, have the successful business and to have, you know, the nice material things of this world. You know, we're slaving so many long hours, and sometimes even
Mm.
relationships with the people that we love, we
Yeah.
lose them because we don't invest the time anymore. We don't have the time, and when we do have time together, we're frazzled, we don't want to talk because we've just had enough, had a hard day, and the
Mm.
things that matter most, we often lose them. And I do think that, you know, some good things have come from the pandemic, in the sense that I think for many of
Mm.
us, it's made us realize that there are certain things that are more important than you know, the value that we held to those things. And there
Yeah.
is a need to really reevaluate,
Mm.
because, you know, relationships, love, kindness, respect,
mm,
spending time together. These things are worth more than money, right? And I'm not saying you
yeah.
don't need money, don't get me wrong, but it's about the balance. And I
Mm,
think with, the natural way, it's all about finding right balance.
yeah. So you talk about the nowadays the modern lifestyle where people focus on, you know, elevating their business or earning more money, and they
Mm,
neglect their health, and seem to me that people are very stressful about money more than they stress more than they think about their personal life, about their health. So how stress contribute to, the dangerous disease, and like in your observation of the clients that you work with, did they have stress, and that stress like contribute to the disease that they have?
absolutely. Almost every single time. It's just a question of how huge is your stress, because everybody almost everybody is under stress. It's stress is an epidemic. It might not be a pandemic, but it's an epidemic that so many of us are suffering from, even because of how we drive ourselves. Sometimes, especially if you're an entrepreneur, the 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 trajectory of your business is down to you. You might want to grow really quickly, really, and take over the whole world,
Yeah.
but you don't have to go so hard, so fast. You want to, it's like when like there's a difference between a 100-meter sprinter and a
Mm,
400-meter runner. You know,
mm,
they
yeah.
both have to run fast. I mean, 400 meters is really a really hard race. But with the 400 meters, you have to last the distance. You have to find a speed that can be constant and even enough so that you can burst, have a speed burst at the end to the finish line. You've got to leave something in reserve. But for
Mm,
many of us, we're just going, wow, from the very start. And we're not thinking about, the length of the journey.
yeah. That's
And
right.
this is
Like,
so important. Yeah.
yes, I feel it's very true for me. Like when I was in my early 20s, I thought that I'm immortal, something like that. I will live long, and I don't care much about my health. I stay up late, and sometimes I skip meals, and I don't have enough sleep, and I'm always stressed, and I want to grow the business, and I want to be successful. And that obsession, I feel like every time I achieve something, or I finish a project or something, I feel good but also exhausted and empty.
Mm,
And then there's a health issue happened to me when I was 27 years old, and I need to slow down. I need to take like 2 years off and not thinking about work at all, and just focus on myself and start exercise, and pay attention to my environment and the habit that I have. But one thing happened is that after that period of rest, I still go back to the hustling. I still want to grow. I still like want to be busy
mm.
and something like that. So for all the entrepreneur and business owner and experts that you used to work with, included doctors that you work with, and do they have that tendency that they cannot keep up a consistency of the healthy lifestyle that they should have?
It's very difficult to be consistent in anything. And that's where true greatness lies, in being consistent.
Yeah.
Everyone can start the race, but how many people finish? It's another thing, because it's a test not just of ability, it's a test of character,
Mm,
right? And when it comes to the people, a lot of the people that I work with, they've actually gone to the place where they've almost passed the place of no return sometimes, because they pushed so hard and now they have to take notice. Otherwise, their
yeah.
life is really in danger. But
Mm,
my message and my mission is to get people's attention before they get to that place. And by partnering with them, by having
mm,
someone on your side who's a realist, okay, who knows what it's like not to feel great and knows what it's like to be sick, to know what
mm,
it's like to not feel like you can even get off the bed in the morning, who can identify with the
Yeah.
pain of not being well, but at the same time has the joy of life and has the knowledge and offers you that partnership. So there's some accountability to help you, nurture you on that journey, and also to be able to say, look, let's not bite off more than we can chew all at once.
Yeah.
Let's structure things so that we move step by step by step.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now and I can see you. I'm glad to see you, boy. Very
So
glad.
there's some technical issue. I'm sorry about
Yeah.
that.
That's okay. These things happen. These things
Yeah,
happen.
I was asking about the pandemic, how it will affect people's life and how people can do something to change their habit in order to have strong immune system. Even they have vaccines, but how to, have that long-term strong immune system.
Right, 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 of course. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the key things, and I mentioned it earlier about the pandemic, is to really assess what is important to you, because many of us, during the lockdowns, we were so desperate to connect again with the world, to connect with family, to connect with friends, and to go forward again with our business lives. But some of us have just hurled straight back in to live a normal life, and as if the pandemic has never happened. And I think that's a dangerous thing to do, because I think with every disaster, every crisis gives the opportunity for us to rise higher and to learn and to improve. And so I think it's always good to revisit and reevaluate what, for each of us personally, has the pandemic taught us, and allow ourselves to go there emotionally where possible, because It's the not just the factual thoughts, but the emotional feelings attached to those thoughts that really help to drive and inspire us to, to do things a bit differently. And the other thing is, I think, is to take the time to nourish your body, to have a healthy immune system. You have to eat right. The foundation of all, your health comes with a good diet. And so many of us, we're on the phone, we're on a call and we're eating, or we're reading the newspaper, or we're on our device while we're eating a meal. Everything should be put aside and eat in peace. Give yourself time to eat. This is really important, because you see, when we are in a state of stress, which you are when you're doing other things while you're eating, your body cannot assimilate the nutrients from that food in the way that it should.
Yeah.
Okay, so just take the time to eat. Chew the food to paste, so it's like liquid in your mouth before you swallow. Sometimes we're just putting it in. And, there are big pieces of food going down into our stomach, and the stomach was never designed to deal with big pieces of food. Digestion begins here in the mouth. So I think, just learning to eat properly is really important. The actual, physical practice of eating needs to be practiced. Don't eat standing up and on the go. Sit down, relax, maybe put on some calming music, but make it a sacred time. Because
it's like
bodies. What I mean, a piano is a beautiful instrument, right? But what instrument is more amazing than the human body? Surely it deserves the respect and the love and the care. And I think the other thing is exercise. For some people, they eat well, but they don't exercise, and many people who exercise don't necessarily eat well. And it's about making, bringing those things into harmony with each other. And especially for the lung health, aerobic exercise and exercise in fresh air is so very important to the health of the respiratory system. Very, very important. And to keep our homes well ventilated, and to practice to breathe well from the diaphragm. I'm a singer, so breathing from down here is very important, because then you really fill your lungs with air. We know from the pandemic that the capacity of the lungs for oxygen was greatly restricted. So it's so important to do these basic things. I mean, there are always some really I could say sexy or more complex things that one could do, but I always think master the foundations first, and then build from there, because you'll be amazed how grateful your body is when you make basic changes, and you'll start to see big differences. I know someone who had what we call a trigger thumb, where the thumb would lock, right? So it would go like this, and then he would have to force it back. And usually there's like a steroid injection that you would have to get rid of this trigger finger. But I examined the individual's diet, and this person was eating tons of chocolate. I said, quit the chocolate, quit the sweets. And you know what? The thumb healed. No need for medication.
Yeah, so in order to heal, it's not that complicated. You just need to notice about small things, small habits that you do, and basically practically it's about eating habits, sleeping habit, how you breathe, and the water and other things in the environment.
Absolutely. And as I said, there are more complex things that one can do, other therapies that you can engage with if you need to, but there's no point in going to those things when you haven't done the basic things first.
So you mentioned about the history of having cancer in your family, and you also used to have lumps in your breast, and also you help with clients who has cancer, and I think people who have cancer, they experience like, they, it's not just the disease, but it will affect them mentally a lot. And for in your own experience, in your client experience, how did you overcome that tough situation to be
Right.
healthy, and take back your energy and your health?
Yeah. One of the key things for me is spirituality, and to know that, for all of us, there is a great purpose in our lives. There's a purpose that we have that is very unique to each one of us. And so the fact that you are here, the fact that I am here, there's a
Mm.
reason. So this is not time to give up. That,
Yeah.
every beat of our heart is, it's a gift from God, and it's not by chance.
Mm.
When you think of what needs to take place in the body just for your heart to beat regularly and healthily, that there has to be some power that's governing you and keeping you alive. And I think if you are being kept alive, you must always, be on this quest to realize the reason why you're here. There's a greater purpose. And I think that will always, for me, energize my efforts.
Mm.
And,
Mm.
I always say also to my clients, as I say to myself, my sickness was a blessing in disguise, because I would not, at this stage of my life, be enjoying the health that I have now if I wasn't made to make, I wasn't forced by my circumstances to make
Mm.
changes when I did.
Yeah.
So it was a blessing. And I say to my clients, this is not a death sentence. Maybe it's a life
Mm.
sentence,
Yeah.
and it's an opportunity to embrace. And I think when you see it that way, and it's an opportunity to learn about yourself, it's an opportunity to
Mm.
learn about your body, it's an opportunity to learn about life and the truth, because, in our very commercial world, we are lied to a lot. We're told that many things are good for us that really are not. And it's only after
Mm.
years of using these things that we realize, oh, well, these things aren't so good for me after all. And so when we realize this, then it's an opportunity to say, okay, I didn't know these things. This is an opportunity for me now to grow
Yeah.
and to be better than I ever was. And I think, that's one very important thing that I focus on.
Mm.
And, I also look at the success stories. I look at the
Yeah.
success stories of people, and I use those, and I speak to my clients and I say, well, I've dealt with this kind of person before, and this is the challenge that they had. I don't go through, share names and, all of that kind of
Mm.
thing, but I say, but this is how they overcame it. You can do it
Yeah.
too. And when you know that someone else could come through it, it gives you hope.
Mm.
And it's okay to have a bad day. And that's another thing. It's
Yeah.
okay to cry sometimes.
Mm.
Life cannot be, smiles 24/7. It's just not like that. But sometimes I think, especially because of the kind of superficial life that can be seen on social media, you know,
Yeah.
everybody's powerful, everybody's beautiful, everybody's glossy and glowing,
Mm.
and really life isn't like that every day.
Yeah,
But
that's
you can
true.
be made to feel that your life isn't like that, so something is wrong with you, and that can make you feel really down on yourself
Mm.
unnecessarily. And I think we need
Mm.
to keep reality in
Yeah.
mind, because when you think about it, I'm sure it's the same in your culture. Our grandparents and their grandparents were strong people. I mean, they brought all kinds of challenges in life,
Mm.
and they didn't complain. They didn't feel, well, why has this happened to me? They just got on with life, you
Yeah.
know. And we, the younger generations coming up, have so much to learn from them, and we shouldn't forget that legacy that
Mm.
they have left us. But, because we have remote control TV, everything's quick. We have the microwave. We're used to things on an instant,
Yeah.
basis. And because of that, it changes our mentality. We don't want to wait for things. We don't want to be patient. We don't want to go through the hard things. But these are the things that really define humanity. and we should always keep that in mind.
So it's like if anyone who experience like difficult time with their health or personal issues or going through loss in life, maybe some type of crisis like divorce, loss of
Mm,
job, and depression and something like that. And you mentioned about like spirituality is very important in order to help you personally and your clients to get through those difficult times. And also when seeing other people with the same story and the same, like they came out from to another side, it's something that inspiring to other people. And
absolutely.
it's something I feel like nowadays social media should focus on. People should do more content about that, inspiring story on how people struggle and then they come out to another side, not just focus on all the glamour, all the beautiful things that people have, all the happiness that people do, but
Mm,
show them like the struggle and before and after, like the
that's
story
right.
of yourself. You are
That's right.
someone that struggle with health issues, like breast lumps twice in your life,
Hmm.
and it's not easy.
It's
So
not, and that's
uh,
why I love what you do, boy. I love what you do. Keep doing it.
thank you. So, what do you think about the mental healing activities like art, playing instruments like piano? Do they contribute to a good health and longevity?
Absolutely. We've got to have fun. We've got to enjoy beauty.
Yeah.
All of these things are really important. I mentioned before balance, everything. And, yes, there's a lot going wrong in the world, but there's still so much beauty to explore, isn't there? I mean, music, look at the world of music. Oh my goodness. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I could play the piano like you, right? I couldn't, mess around and stuff. But I also like to play the violin, and I like to go out into nature and exercise. I like to cook. I like to do other, lots of things to find that balance. If it's just work, 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 that makes you one incredibly dull. And if you think about it, we have two ears, we have two eyes, we have only one mouth. So there's so much more to enjoy through what we hear and what we
Yeah.
see.
Mm.
We're designed the way we are for a reason. And, there is so much beauty to explore, so much to create as well. And
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I homeschooled my children. And one of the reasons I did that was because I feel the need to be holistic in as many ways as possible. And sometimes, in the way we're educated, we're told, oh, well, you're good at music, so you be a musician, but that's
Mm.
your thing. And this person's really good at science, so they should be a doctor. So that's their thing. But why can't these worlds combine? Why
Mm.
not? Everything has to be very, segregated and separate.
Yeah.
But in the natural world, it's not like that. Everything feeds into everything else, and I think if we try to live our lives more holistically, we will find so much more joy and much more peace and contentment, Yeah.
So, what do you mean by living more holistically? Like being
Well,
more mindful or something?
well, what I mean is, like, you look after your body, but you recognize that
Mm.
as even your body is connected to the soil and the trees, for example, and plants, because plants, they take in what we breathe out and they give us oxygen. So
Yeah.
why not spend time with
Mm.
those trees, and with the soil? Why not listen to the birds? The birds, they just sound so amazing. I mean, the songs that they sing, the rhythms that they use, that's music. So, and you look at, the symmetry in nature and the shapes and the colors, it's art. It's all there. So we should take our cue from nature and be much more rounded in how we live our lives. And obviously, well, obvious to me, those things didn't come about by chance. There has to be an intelligence behind all of that. You don't have a piece of music and think that, the piece of music just came into being. Somebody, just it just came about by chance and the notes assembled themselves on the manuscript. It doesn't happen. Okay, there has to be an author. And so by connecting with the author of nature, you're being more holistic.
Yeah.
But
One
it's disconnect.
problem,
Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to share about the problem in Vietnam, like especially in big cities, dynamic city like Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi. I lived there for 9 years in Ho Chi Minh City, and when you say being more holistic in, living more holistically, to live in that way in big cities like that, it seemed to me very difficult
Right.
because it's very busy on the street, pollution, a lot of vehicles, people live in big buildings, and
Mm,
there's not a lot of lanes or planes, and to hear birds singing is something that very rare in big
right.
cities like that, and I think it's something that's why I moved back to my hometown in Cam Ranh, because now
Mm,
here I feel like I be near the nature. I feel more
right.
peaceful, even like I can still work actively, but I feel like my health is better. But for
Right.
people who live in big city, in dynamic city like that, what do you suggest that they should do in order to live more holistically?
Well, I think it's always good to take some time out, maybe if you can't do it in the week, but at the weekend, take some time to travel. Find a nice park and just, take a sandwich and sit down and just relax, and unwind. Because for some of us, we are city junkies, especially I think when you're younger, in your younger days. But that's a very toxic lifestyle. It really is. And you become very uh, like self-orientated, very image focused, very self-focused. And we don't have time to think about the wider world around us. It's just go, 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 go. But when you take time out and you just find yourself in a park and you just sit, maybe with a friend, maybe by yourself, but just take time to just observe and to listen and to look and not be on your phone. I think this is really important because you will realize, and just by looking at the sky, seeing the colors in the sky, the cloud formations, the sunrise or the sunset. It's so beautiful, and it does have a healing effect. It does calm you right down, as you said. So maybe even if it's just one day a week, over the weekend, that you just take time out. That's, one step that most people can do. You might have to take a train or drive out somewhere, but take the time to just reconnect.
Yeah. Okay, so talking about the health issues, what are early signs that people need to pay attention to? And what happened to you personally and your clients before, like this early symptoms that you and your client experience? And when you're
Right,
working with people, you
right,
think that that's something that people need to focus on.
right. Okay. I would say one of the main ones is, just feeling tired almost every single day. So you go to bed and you wake up, but you're not nourished, you're not energized by the sleep. You're still really struggling to, you know, get up and face the day. If you don't have caffeine, by having coffee or something like that in the morning, you can't get started. That's a sign that something is not right. And the way I would work with my client with that is I would look, at the history of of how they've operated, from childhood right up, because there will be signs, and because as well sometimes when you feel something like you're just tired every day, It could be something really simple, like you're just dehydrated, you're not drinking enough water. Okay, maybe you're just drinking Coca-Cola every day or Pepsi or something. But sometimes there are small things that have just accumulated, you know, behind the scenes and gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And so it's really important to track the history to see what has brought them to that, because it's going to be different things for different people, you know. But another one is just finding it really difficult to concentrate, you know, that focus. You just find that your mind is just kind of foggy and not able to focus very well. And I do think that social media has a lot to, you know, social media addiction and addiction to devices has a lot to do with these things. For young people, my husband works in education. He works in a school, and you know, the kids, they can't focus. Many of them are on Netflix into the late hours of the night or playing games. So there's no way they're, and when they come to school, they're eating, you know, fries or chips or whatever, you know, so they're not having good diet. But also, you know, when they go home, they're watching movies. And that overstimulation of the brain gets exhausted also. And the brain isn't being engaged in a positive way, it's engaged in a negative way. So these things can cause difficulty with focusing. Also, just you know, not eating regularly so that the blood sugar is regulated throughout the day, because the brain needs fuel, you know. And sometimes if you're eating high sugar meals, you will find that you just have that slump or a number of slumps throughout the day, and during those slumps you just can't concentrate, and that's why you need the coffee, or that's why you need sugar, you know, to get you going again, and that's quite dangerous, you know, in the long term. Food cravings can be another you know, symptom that can lead to a dangerous disease. There are sometimes bacteria or parasites that live in the gut that are craving to be fed. Okay, so when we're feeling like we're craving sugar, oftentimes it's these parasites that are craving the sugar, not actually you, but you feel like, you know, because it's in your body, that craving is in your body, you think that you're craving. But it could be that you have, you know, some kind of a parasite infection in your body that could lead to something that is not very nice. Just not being able to maintain a level mood throughout of the course of a month, you know, or even in the course of the day. You know, you start really well, and then all of a sudden you just feel depressed. Again, blood sugar and your insulin, you know, the way insulin is working in your body could be, you know, something to really address there. Constipation is a huge, huge thing that can lead to all kinds of problems. Yesterday, I was working with somebody who has had colon cancer, you know, and for many cancers, you know, a big problem that people experience is that their bowels are not moving very well. And for many diseases, actually, the bowels are not moving regularly. And to know if your bowels are moving as they should, really, if you eat 2 meals a day, then you should have at least 2 bowel movements a day. If you're eating 3 meals a day, then you should be moving your bowels at least 3 times a day. For everything that goes in, something should be coming out, okay? And so if we don't have that kind of level of regularity, then that means the body is holding on to the waste material for longer than it should, and that can create problems in the body. Feeling easily overwhelmed, you know, not having that resilience. Sometimes that is a result of being too stressed for too long. And so, you know, our adrenal glands become overworked and overwhelmed, and they're not able to produce the stress hormones that they should, and even the other hormones then become out of balance as a result of that. And so, you know, you could be doing something that you know is not really that big a deal, but you just can't help feeling like, you know, it's just such a huge thing, and how are you going to cope, you know? And so, you know, usually your hormonal health is something to really look at in that kind of instance. Did you want me to talk about the others, or are you happy with that so far? Did you want me to go on, or?
Yeah, I had on the slides,
Yeah,
and I think that you mentioned 5 or 6 of them. And one more
yeah,
thing is like poor sleep quality and unturned body and aches and pains.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, aches and pains, we should never just think, oh, well, I'll just take a tablet and the pain will be gone and that's it, I'm good. You know, sometimes you need to just get through the day, I understand, but the body is telling you something's not right. It's like when a baby is crying. If a baby is crying, then maybe it's hungry, maybe it needs a
Yeah,
cuddle, maybe it needs to have its, you know, its nappy or its diaper changed. But you wouldn't stick a sock in the baby's mouth or turn up the music so you can't hear the baby crying. You would try and find out what's wrong, right? And but with our bodies start crying, and we just put the sock in the mouth, you know, for our bodies. We dumb the signal, but the body's trying to tell you something. It's telling you you're not drinking enough water, or you can't keep going to bed so late at night. You know, there's a reason why your body's, you know, doing what it's doing and telling you what it's telling you. And what I love to do is to provide people with that sound education around their body so that they can learn to listen and rightly interpret the signal so that they can start taking appropriate action. Yeah.
so talking about the top disease and disease that you help your clients with, reversing and then give them a good health again. So he's on the slide. I have some of the top disease that you mentioned. Maybe you can talk about that. Like if people have those kind of symptoms or these early symptoms of the disease, they should contact you and they should reach out to you.
Oh, most definitely, because you know, you know, in this country now, we're entering into allergy season. You know, people are sneezing and coughing, and you know, eyes are itchy and swollen. There are reasons why this is happening, and those reasons can be solved. You know, people don't have to go through this every single year. It's usually a sign that the body has, you know, is overloaded with toxins. In fact, you know, much of the time. Um, and again, you know, what I really love to do with my clients is to look at what has been going on in their life, what has been going on in their bodies that has brought them to this. And once you understand and you identify root causes, and then you undo those root causes, the body will just heal itself. It's amazing. And, you know, in the meantime, while the body is healing, sometimes there are like herbs and things that one can drink or whatever that will just help to really reduce or even eliminate the symptoms, you know, while your body is healing. Because, you know, the healing process, when you're looking to really heal properly, the body can't just heal overnight. It didn't get to that place of sickness overnight, and so you can't expect to just resolve everything overnight. But there are oftentimes things that you can do to just manage the symptoms and make sure you're not suffering, you know, too much discomfort while the body's actually healing. Rather than when you give your body medication, you're actually creating a greater toxic load on the body. So in the long term, you're actually making the situation worse, even though you're getting rid of the symptoms. I've lost sound, boy. I can't actually hear you. You're on mute. That's
So
better.
my question is that, like, if people want to work with you, and how is the process look like of working with you look like?
Okay. It depends on how, you know, people want to work with me. If they just want to, you know, ask me anything for half an hour, we can book a video call for half an hour, and they can just ask me almost anything about, health with regards to themselves or a loved one. But if you have an illness that you really want to reverse, usually we will do a consultation, and we'll go through a process of working together. So you'll complete an online form that goes through your habits, your health history, any medications or supplementation that you're taking, so I know exactly what the factors are in your lifestyle. And then we have a video call. We talk about the principles of health, so you're educated, not just being told what to do, but I talk about why this form of action has been harming your body, so that you understand, because when you understand, helps you to be more committed, more motivated. And I create protocols for people, so I design a personalized plan of action, that's there to take people step by step. And usually people will work with me for a number of months, sometimes over a number of years, just depending on how complex or how severe the illness is, because obviously it's going to take some kind of commitment to really affect the healing. But yeah, we'll usually meet at least every month, and have calls during the week as well, and they may message me as well, just to ask any quick fire questions, because it's really important that they, sometimes when you even create something for someone, they think they understand what you said, they think they have understood what you've written, but I've found that sometimes how it's interpreted isn't the way you thought you explained. And so it's really important to keep that relationship tight, and that communication tight with the myself as a practitioner with the client, so that we both understand exactly what is required, because that can make such a huge difference to what you actually practice, and then the results that you get in the end.
So how do your clients know that they get better with their hair? Do they feel better, or they go to health check and they see that there are no symptoms, or they know there's no symptom of the disease anymore? So
Yeah, I
the
mean,
results.
it's funny because it's oftentimes it's both. I can look at my clients and look at their skin, look at their eyes, look at their hair, and you can see when health is just beginning to spring forth. It's like if you ever had a plant that you weren't watering and it's kind of all withered, and then you water it, and then you look at it again in half an hour, and you just see it's like it's just coming to life. You can see those kinds of changes in the body, and the person says, well, I've actually got so much more energy, and my skin is looking great. And people are saying to me, what are you doing? Because my friends are saying, what is it? Because I can just see you look so good. You start to feel different. I wasn't able to sleep, and now I'm sleeping through the night. This is a big thing. So you don't always have to wait for a check, a blood test or a scan to know that health is taking place. You can see it, you can feel it within yourself. And I think this is where both the medical and the holistic can harmonize, because it's not that these tests aren't valid, but also how you feel is also valid, and how you look is also valid. So both, I would say both go hand in hand. But I've had clients who, for example, a lady who had breast cancer that had metastasized to her spine, and she said to me, Janice, there was a point where I just felt like a switch went off in my body, after a few months of working with you. And I just felt that the cancer was gone. I just felt that before I even had the confirmation at the hospital. In fact, the hospital did not confirm. She pressed them to give her more information, because they still wanted to put her on certain drug therapies, right? But as she pressed them, she realized that she didn't need to go on these drug therapies, right? So, and it was because of how she felt in her body, and the fact that the medical professional involved at the time wasn't being very transparent for whatever reason. But because she knew how she felt, she pressed for more information, and she found that she was free from the cancer. You know.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time and sharing all of the knowledge, and and again the knowledge in like when I know you, I feel like I pay more attention to my health, and to what you say. So for all the audience who's still watching and who watched the interview, and if you have some early symptoms of disease that can lead to dangerous disease, or you currently having some chronic disease and you need some help or some advice, just connect to Janice, and here's some of her channel to work with, like email and LinkedIn and websites. So you just go through all these channels to connect with Janice. And thank you so much, Janice, for joining the interview today. And have a nice day. And do you have anything, the last message that you want to say to the audience?
Yes, I'd love to, and thank you so much for having me, Boy. It's been a great experience to share today. I would say, if we learn to listen to our bodies when it whispers, then we won't have to hear it scream.
Yeah, thank you so
Those will be my
much.
closing words. Okay, thank you
Yeah,
so much. It's been a real
thank you
pleasure.
so much. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye bye.
Bye bye, everyone. Good night. Good night in Vietnam.
Good
Bye,
night.
Janice.
Bye bye. Bye bye.